You are listening to episode 203 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's Ryan, and this week I'm joined by Next to Nothing Podcast.
Hey everybody, here on the Game Deflators Podcast, we talk about games we recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge, it's a Gundam! We're talking Gundam Evolution.
Awesome. Yes, I love Gundam. I haven't played the game, but I know you guys have had a chance, so I'm super stoked to talk about it. So why don't you guys go ahead, let everybody know who you are, where they can find you, what Next to Nothing's all about.
Yeah, so my name is Danny K. I am one of the hosts and the founder of Next to Nothing, the podcast. We're a podcast for gamers on a budget. I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Green Elite.
Hi, I'm Mr. Green. I play video games.
And
I kind of just got tagged along for Next to Nothing. I don't know how it happened. I'm just here.
And then we're also joined by our other co-host who we did a very rigorous and intensive vetting process, Mendachi.
Howdy. Yeah, I'm Mendachi. I also play video games occasionally, though. I'm mainly a college student, but I'm also a commentator for the Upper Iowa University esports team. I did do an interview process, and it was rigorous. I had to murder every other person that tried out, and I don't have any scars on me because I'm untouchable.
Yeah, we ended up doing that thing where we tied two people's wrists together, and then in the other hand, they each had a knife, and they had like a knife fight in a circle. It was insane. It was probably the most enjoyable thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Mendachi came out completely unscathed. It was amazing.
Good show,
warrior.
I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention the brand new Dungeons and Dragons show that we've been doing called VR Arcana. If you are a fan of Dungeons and Dragons and anime and self-referential humor, that is a show for you, and you can check it out on our YouTube channel, where you can also find Next to Nothing. It's Next to Nothing Network on YouTube.
Best
Awesome.
D&D isekai ever.
I'm excited to check that out. I haven't checked it out yet, but I've been starting to try to get more into the D&D like mood again. I've kind of gone away from it from a few years, but John's going to be putting on a new campaign later on this year, so I'm excited to get ready for that, and that's probably a good way for me to get ready and for anybody else out there too. So this week we'll go through our recent pickups and our currently playing. I'll go ahead and go first. So this week I went by and I saw John and his lovely new bundle of joy, little baby Oliver. And I got to borrow Street Fighter 4 on the PS3 from him. I have been excited for Street Fighter 6 to come out, and it's going to be on Game Pass. And I was like, I want to get ready because I've never really been able to jump into a fighting game. Like, I got Dragon Ball Fighters, and I was like, I don't know. The connection was so bad, like the first couple weeks. And like everybody was already like a killer that knew how to do anything. And also like tag team just seems like way too much for me. I need to start with like a single character fighter, I think. So after watching a bunch of really good videos online, I was like, John has like every game. He's got to have one Street Fighter that I can borrow. And 4 seems like a pretty good one to start with. So I've been doing like the Ryu trials, and I'm already learning things that I never knew about how fighting game inputs work. And you just kind of put the things in, and if it's close enough, it kind of works, and you figure out how to do it again and again. And I just, I still can't beat a computer Zangief in arcade as Ryu.
That's a rough go of it, man. Yeah, fighting games is kind of my forte. Last fighting game that I picked up was Dungeon N Fighter Online, where it's so ridiculous that your opponent and you take turns being a training dummy, because as soon as someone gets something off, you're not moving. It is one of the most oppressive fighting games out there. But as far as Street Fighter 4 goes, that is like, bar none, the best Street Fighter to run into if you're getting ready for Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 5 was just laden with issues, and I think still is to this day. But Street Fighter 4, there's a massive community out there. My heart goes out to Abel, that grappler from France. I love you. You look like Jean-Claude, but giant.
And then what else did I get this week? Oh, I have a friend. He was helping me hack my Zelda Game & Watch. So now I've got Splatterhouse, Punch Out, Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Pinball, Paperboy, a Game & Watch like party pack for like Game Boy, so that I have actual Game & Watch games on it, and it's sweet. It's like the perfect little like slip in your pocket emulator package, and the screen is gorgeous. So I've been kind of
build something like that with a Raspberry Pi.
See, you need a Raspberry Pi to even hack like the thing, because the USB-C that's on it isn't hooked up to anything but power. So unless you want to go in and like resolder stuff on the board, you have to like go in and hook it up to a Raspberry Pi and drop pins in, and that's all way beyond me. I'm glad I have smart friends.
Yeah, there's a kit online that you can get, as well as like a lot of 3D printing avenues for making like essentially a Raspberry Pi Game Boy.
Oh, dude, you're in a place now where I have access to you and your 3D printing wonderful technology.
Yeah,
dude, I need you to help me. I need you to help me get this onto a clip for an Xbox controller. Or if it would be easier, I'm thinking like just something that I can put a Switch slide rail. That'd be sick.
That would be pretty sick, yeah.
Yeah. So that's future stuff. Current stuff. Currently playing God of War. I'm so hyped for the next God of War. I got to finish this God of War because I never did. So I'm trying to barrel through that. I'm trying to practice Street Fighter. I haven't even touched my play date, so I don't even know what like the last 2 weeks of releases were for it. So I need to get back on that train. Too much stuff, too little time.
Oh yeah, my library is full like that. I have the last 2 summer sales from Steam. I've bought in games that like I haven't touched at all. Like I got Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, Gang Beasts. A buddy of mine gifted me God of War, both the Golf It and Golf with Your Friends game, Hellblade. So many. I haven't even finished It Takes Two with my fiance yet, and I really want to get that done. But I have, since we moved to Phoenix, I have the my second PC for her in the storage unit. So that's gonna be a while before we ever finish that. Mm-hmm. So, but
what have you picked up recently and played recently?
I'm a sucker for I wouldn't say repetitiveness, but like familiarity. So like I picked up Gundam, and I've been playing Gundam, which we'll talk about later in the show. But that's like the only thing I've been playing next to Hunt Showdown, because I'm a sucker for Hunt Showdown. I love that game. I just went over 1,000 hours in that game.
Dang, that's commitment.
Yeah, so like I have the time to play all these games in this backlog. I just don't want to. I don't know why. But then
it's hard.
I got suckered in like the next week. I have to play Phasmophobia, the new update for Phasmophobia, which I don't want to do. I didn't agree to it. I just got told I'm playing it. Yeah. I hate it. I hate everything.
What about you, Danny K? What'd you pick up and play recently?
Well, yeah, a lot of Gundam. That's been kind of my go-to the last week or so, but games wise, I haven't picked up too much that's new, or I would say that's incredibly interesting, but I did pick up the Sony WF C500 truly wireless in-ear earbuds. I recently upgraded. I was like using like a set of like wired Bluetooth earbuds.
Yeah.
And I've had them for a while, and I just kind of wore them out. Like the buttons were starting to go out, and then I was helping Green move to Phoenix, and like going to be like on a 24-hour car drive from Iowa to Phoenix, and I'm like, you know what, I deserve this. So I got these, and I got to say they are probably one of the most comfortable pair of earbuds I've ever used. And they sound really nice, and the app works out really well where you can adjust the EQ and stuff on your phone. I've been super happy with them, and the batteries last a while. I don't think the entire 25-hour drive I needed to charge them once.
Dang.
Like, yeah. And the carrying case is nice, like just like a pill shaped carrying case that fits nice in the pocket. I barely notice it in there. Yeah, that's been like my like biggest piece of like pickup lately for basically anything.
Yeah. I had to get some new wireless headphones recently, so I was like doing some research, and those were definitely like the ones everybody was saying, you know, these are the ones to get. But I don't really listen to like a lot of music. It's mostly like podcasts and YouTube, so quality's not super important to me. I was just looking at price, but those ones did look really nice.
Yeah, for the longest time, I just kept buying really crappy headphones because or earbuds, I should say, because I was a janitor for a while. And so when you're a janitor and like things, you know, you're like bending over and picking things up, and like you're about to go dump out all the mop water or something like that. And then like stuff falls into the water and breaks. And so I didn't want to spend more than like $20. And so this was like the first time I spent like, it's listed on like the Walmart website for $100, but I got these for like $76. It was
Nice.
solid. Yeah,
That's a good pickup.
Yeah, and then also the noise canceling is great because I took a flight from Phoenix back to Iowa, and I didn't even hear the plane.
Nice.
Or when he wanted to ignore me or not listen to my snores.
Extramarital problems on the Next to Nothing network.
Right. So yeah, that's my biggest pickup.
What about you, Mendachi?
Okay, so I have a serial habit of just buying everything that I think looks nice. So quite a bit actually, my friend. It's a long list, so I'm gonna narrow things down here. Most recently, it was on Game Pass for a time, so I got to play what was there, and I end up purchasing it on Xbox Game Pass after it left. But Dandy Ace rocks. It is a super solid roguelike where you play as a hot pink magician boy named Dandy Ace. And it plays a lot like Hades, for those familiar. But the power-ups and attacks and everything like that you have are all like pickups. You're going through a crazy like maze, really, really phenomenal mobs that you fight through, as well as really great, interesting, and difficult boss fights. So if you like a challenge, or if you don't like a challenge, they actually have a lot of difficulty settings for you to play. So like that was great. I've also had a chance to play some Cult of the Lamb, which is way more fun than I thought it would be, because I'm not super about resource management. If you can see, there's a trend here, also a rogue light, as you do make progress every time that you end up dying if you do. But yeah, who knew that sweeping up poop after animals would be so much fun when you get to deliver them a sermon from some eldritch being within a church constructed merely from straw and sticks. Super great. I highly recommend it.
I've been dying to play that one.
I think it's cool as you think it
is. So I'm waiting.
Yeah, currently I want to say it's $24.99. There is a Cult Leader edition, which adds like a couple extra, like more or less skins for followers and a couple extra little goodies here and there for $29.99. I had played it on Twitch, so I got to play around with the stream integration, where people can essentially like do a raffle with their channel points. And if they win, they get to name and customize a new follower in your cult by themselves. So like you can literally hang out on stream watching your viewer make their little cult follower for you. So it's really fun, especially off stream as well, because no one can tell you what to do. You don't have to succumb into peer pressure. But otherwise, my always go to, which is also on sale until the 6th, for a jaw-dropping $5, Vermintide 2. You should play that, especially if you have friends. Just a phenomenal game. And Fat Shark is coming out with Dark Tide. If you're not into like high fantasy RPGs, Dark Tide, a sci-fi horror horde shoot 'em up, is coming November 30th. Finally, after so long, gameplay looks sick. So yeah, I'm playing Vermintide 2 to fill a massive Dark Tide sized hole in my heart.
Yeah, do you get down with 40K stuff?
Quite a bit, yes.
Yeah, I dig 40K, the universe, the lore, everything. I'm so excited they're doing that crossover with Magic the Gathering for those commander decks. I want to buy all of those for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be hard because I was also a massive simp for Magic the Gathering. One of the other players in our D&D group, Zombie, me and him were talking about how much we had in Magic the Gathering cards, and I think he beat me out by like a solid 5 pounds, and I had 35 pounds of cards.
Yeah, so John has so nuts. Many cards.
Yeah,
I finally got smart and just decided to just do draft. I'll go to draft every couple of weeks. That's how I will engage with Magic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was ready to commit myself to maybe do some outpatient, deal with my Magic the Gathering problem. And instead I just, got tired of lugging around this box of cards from place to place and finally just sold them at bulk, like $200. Here you go. Thank you. Enjoy. Yeah.
Oh. I that's the thing, like I've done that twice, like, and I just always feel so bad later on because you come back to it and you're like, no.
Oh yeah. I had some gnarly mono blue decks because I'm a jerk. I like to play full control and just watch you draw cards and be like, huh, nice. And I'm like, throw it in the trash as I put a card down. In fact, draw 7 more and throw those in the trash too. Until I find a mono black deck to tell me to, die, I guess, but yeah, it's hard. It's going to be hard not to jumping into that as well. That 40K MTG little crossover is just chef's kiss.
I mean, they're ready to go pre-con, so you could just buy 2 so that you could just play with somebody.
John, it's never just 2.
Oh, Ryan, sorry, miss name tag today.
Yeah, you are.
So anyways, John actually did tell me when I talked to him earlier what his pickups and playing was, and I was like, you're not even going to be there. He's like, tell the people. So John's
Tell my story. Tell my story.
John's been picking up diapers this week, but he's been picking up some other deals too. He went out and bought a PSVR because of the sad news of no backwards compatibility. John's been like stockpiling PSVR games and buying them and selling them and getting his own collection all bulked up. And then now he had to finally break down and go get one. So he's been messing around that, playing some Beat Saber, playing he got that Astrobot game for there. I never messed around with PSVR 1, so I've not played that, but Beat Saber's sick. And then he picked up Returnal on a good deal, which I really want to play at some point. That looks like a sick game. I don't know when I'm going to get a PS5.
I would recommend, like, hopefully John hasn't yet, but if he wants to play the Batman Arkham VR game, do not spend the full price on it.
No.
Oh, John doesn't buy anything at full price.
If it is on sale for like maybe $2, sure. But that game is such a disappointment in terms of, I paid, I think, $25 for it when I got my PSVR. You play through the whole thing in less than 2.5 hours.
Damn.
Yeah.
And like, there's no actual combat in the game. Like, you target people and that's it. And then the rest of it's like deducing, like,
Detective stuff.
the detective side of Batman.
Yeah.
It looks great, don't get me wrong, but it's not worth $25 for 2 hours of
Tech demo.
gameplay.
John,
Yeah,
I hope
it's
you're listening
literally
to
a demo.
this. And then he's been playing Blue Dragon for the
What?
Xbox 360.
Wow.
The RPG, like the one of the two that I know about. So he's having a good time with that, and we wish him well, and we will talk to him. I mean, you guys are still hearing him. We're releasing episodes every week. So you guys can always check us out at thegamedeflators.com. You can follow us on Twitter at Game Deflators, because they don't like the, and everywhere else at the Game Deflators. Leave us some reviews because you love us and you love how our guests come on the show, and you want to tell us how much you love them being on the show. So this week we are going to be talking about how Moore's Law lives, and so does Intel's new Arc A770. And then with new life comes death, and that's the death of Stadia this week. That's a big one. Saw that coming. And then lastly, back from its grave, the zombie E3 climbing up to give us a good show next summer. And then, as always, wrapping up with the inflation deflation. So first up on the chopping block, we've got Moore's Law is not dead, as Arc A770 GPU is priced at $329. This is by Sam Makovacek at Ars Technica. And honestly, I don't know a whole lot about PC stuff. John kind of brings it up sometimes, and he knows a bit, but I know you guys talk all kinds of stuff, and you guys talk the new stuff that came out recently, right? The NVIDIAs or whatever?
NVIDIA's 4K series cards
So
were just announced, so they should be coming out shortly.
That's all the high-end stuff, right?
Yeah, very hefty price tag.
So this is the budget market, and I've heard like people that I listen to clamoring for, like, I miss the days of like when these companies were competing for the budget card and trying to make that the best as possible in class. So like, is that what this is? Is this like something people should really be looking forward to, or should people save their money for those higher end cards?
That's going to be we're going to have to wait to see what exactly the power is behind these Intel cards. Like I'm sure that they will definitely compete with like the lower end AMD in NVIDIA cards in some way. And will help with like pushing that price down. Any competition's good competition, especially when it comes to graphics card. Because like there's only been two main avenues right now, is AMD and NVIDIA. So like I'm happy that we're seeing more companies pushing into the space of a dedicated graphics card. Like Intel, or there's a few like Chinese manufacturers that are actually getting into the game too. They just recently, last year, we covered a few of them. I can't think about off the top of my head what the names are, but we'll have to wait and see what the performance actually looks like on these cards. I don't think they're going to be like high-end NVIDIA capable, especially at that price tag. But I certainly hope we get to see something like that, because good competition brings the price down for all the good things.
Didn't somebody else just like bow out recently? Like that was making graphics cards?
Yeah, EVGA. What they did is they got NVIDIA cards, like the cores of the cards, and then they would do is they would overclock and they'd put their own cooling and housing on them.
RGB them up.
Yeah, essentially, but with a little bit more performance out of the box. And they claimed that NVIDIA just wasn't consistent, and they wouldn't like out front say how much the price was going to be or what the availability would be for these cores and stuff like that. And they made the decision to walk away, which I'm hoping we see like a nice AMD deal in the future with EVGA. Because EVGA is a fantastic company when it comes to graphics cards. The only power supplies I buy are from EVGA. So like I stand by EVGA. I'll fight on that hill with EVGA.
The wild thing about EVGA leaving that space too is that EVGA, that was 80% of their revenue was GPUs. And another part of why they decided to get out of the game and just sever ties with NVIDIA was that NVIDIA's own cards would undercut EVGA. EVGA couldn't sell any lower than like a certain amount to make any sort of profit. And then NVIDIA's like Founders Edition cards in this last 3000 series, family would be less expensive than something EVGA could do. So it's like, we're supposed to be partners. We're buying all this stuff from you. We're working with you guys, but you're undercutting us. Like, we can't sell lower than you.
And that's a big issue too, because like a lot of people don't want the Founders cards. They want EVGA's gear.
Yeah.
Like the For the Win series cards always outperform the Founders Edition.
Yeah. That it'll be wild to see how that affects the third party market too. Or not third party, the aftermarket, I should say. Secondhand market.
Well, and especially with like crypto crashing and like they're gonna like, I don't know if there's already been like a giant rash of people trying to like hawk burned out, these have been running for 3 years cards, but like if it hasn't come yet, it's coming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, every ship is on fire, yet they're still sailing, and they're like, "Nah, ship's fine, man. We're in the middle of the water. Don't worry about the fire."
Ryan, I don't know what you're talking about. Burned out cards. I thought NVIDIA had introduced hash limiters, unhackable hash limiters.
I don't even know what that means.
Basically, NVIDIA back in like 2021 had with the 3000 series cards had said that they made an unhackable hash limiter, so you could only like mine so fast or do so much with those cards in terms of crypto. And within like 6 months,
that's just a challenge.
It was exactly. It was completely cracked. Just some guys like, yep, completely cracked. You can run your cards the way you want to now.
And NVIDIA even announced it too. They're like, oh yeah, our hash limiter doesn't work anymore. GG, well played.
Yeah.
So, you guys got anything else on Intel's card specifically?
No, the only thing I can say is like I hope to see some good numbers.
So we'll wait and see on that. I'm sure that once these come out, we'll talk about it again or hear you guys talking about it.
Yeah.
Next up, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just real quick for like price comparison, because we're talking about it. The new cards from NVIDIA are like $800 and more, and a lot of these are from these ARC cards are going to be in that $300 to $500 range, I think. So these are going to be like the budget option, and if the price to performance is there, I could see a lot of budget builders really wanting to go for these. So if you are looking to build a PC and these hit the market, like do your due diligence, but these could certainly be something worth looking at.
Nice. A big thing to look out for too is AMD is going to be doing their announcement soon for their Q4 cards, and usually AMD will reserve like their CPU stuff for like August, and then in October they'll talk about their GPUs. So we should be seeing something from AMD, and AMD does like to hit that budget market as well. So we might see like I think they'd be at the 7 now, so like 7500s and 7600 cards hitting the market within the next 3 or 4 months. So keep an eye out for that as well.
Awesome. Well, you heard it here. Next up, we got Google is shutting down Stadia, its cloud gaming service. This is by Matt Kim at IGN. I don't know how much experience you guys have with Stadia. I have a Stadia controller, and I love the awesome, extra Chromecast that I got with it. And that's basically my Stadia experience. I got it for
shit.
Yeah, I got it for free because I got like YouTube Premium years ago. So no refund for me, but some people are going to get refunds. Like, what about you guys? You guys dumped all your money into Stadia, I'm sure, right?
Absolutely, right off the bat. Every single game on there, I own it. It's in my library.
I think the first time I was on NTN as a guest, we talked about Stadia. It was right when Stadia was being announced, and I said that this would not last more than 5 years.
Same. I think I gave it like a terrible. Anytime that we talked about Stadia, I think I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put deathbed notice inside a year, and it was kind of funny seeing all like the probably like Twitter bots or possibly just like someone's job at Google making fake Twitter accounts to talk about how awesome Stadia was, and all these like Stadia stands just left and right. And it's just like, there's no way people are playing this. And Amazon tried to come out with the Luna, and everyone's just like, no, stop. The house is literally on fire. Get out while you can.
I liked the idea of Stadia. I was very impressed by their like original presentation where they were like, it's on the console, it's on the computer, it's on the tablet, it's on the phone, and they just went from like one to the other seamlessly. Like they made it look like something really enticing, but the reality of it is that I don't play games that way. Like I can't think of a game that I would want equal experience across all of those devices and would really take advantage of it in that way. And without something like that, like a core daily grind game that I can commit to and just do it wherever I am, that's compelling and the connection works well and I have the means to pull it off, like in the future, this will happen. Obviously, Google's not the one who's going to make it happen. I think that if, they just like nose to the grindstone, push through, bought, threw their freaking money around and bought a studio. It's been open season out there lately for, publishers and everybody else picking up studios. Like if they did it that way, instead of trying to ground up from the inside and got some kind of foothold in, instead of trying to go with like Ubisoft's, I don't know, what was that game? Phoenix Rising or something? Rise of the Phoenix? Something.
Yeah, Phoenix Rising from Ubisoft.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Gods and Monsters when it was originally shown. It was Cassandra from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and you're going through like a chibi version of Greece, and then they just changed everything completely. Yeah, that game's been on sale on every platform that they can. They're literally trying to give it away. So it was not surprising to see that, and then games like that coming to Stadia. It was just kind of like, I don't know. It was never really full of bangers, but it's just like you said, you need a reason to have to want to access these games wherever you go. And when you're talking about running a game that like, this streamed at 1080p, 60 frames per second or whatever, like probably garbage that they were saying, it was a complete lie. What's that look like as far as performance on your phone, or whatever you're using to play it on? Is it going to melt your hands? It just, I never really saw anything too favorable. And then when it came from people that actually had one, they were willing to go all in. There was nothing bad about the Stadia. There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
So there's 3 reasons why Stadia was doomed to fail. The first one is that they were trying to fill a niche that is incredibly hard to fill, with people trying to be or trying to sell a mobile platform to millions of people, right? Who already have equipment, PCs, consoles, stuff like that. The second is they got too ambitious with the pricing. They expected people to essentially buy into Stadia and have to build their entire library all over again on this separate platform, much like if you were to go from PlayStation to Xbox. And the third is the internet connectivity. The infrastructure for the United States for when it comes to internet is god awful, especially compared to countries like Korea and Japan, where fiber is like the standard. So like expecting people to be able to play these games at these high end like 4K, 1080, 60 FPS on a mobile phone getting 20 megs down on 4G LTE is just isn't gonna work. And they should have had the hindsight to know that that was going to be an issue, especially when they have competition with like GeForce Now, which doesn't charge you money to play games. You just log into your Steam and it's completely free. You can get the premium for like I think $10 a month, and that $10 a month will get you like a priority in line for essentially streaming a PC to whatever device you're using. So like the competition's there already, and with all these other companies getting into it and not charging as much, and not like over promising what Google promised with like, oh, it's gonna run 4K no problem. It was doomed to fail.
Can I like add a fourth reason?
Absolutely.
Google's reputation probably had a lot to do with Stadia not gaining a significant audience, because when your company is known for killing services or for like tweaking services beyond recognition, like Google Pay, I think, is one of those ones where like the app I had on my phone it worked fine. It was basically just like a Venmo. I used it to like send money to my mom and stuff like that. But they changed it along the way to where it was not that anymore. Google, like that part of that service had gone over to somewhere different. Like another big one was, is it Google Circles?
Google Circles, Google Hangouts, their attempt at doing social media, Google Glass. Like, you stole the words straight out of my mouth, Danny.
Google Plus.
Yeah, Google Plus, that's what it was. Yeah, like all of these, headstones in the Google graveyard, it was only a matter of time. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like Google's like own reputation helped doom Stadia, because why am I going to invest on, like, now we know that people are going to get refunds, but why would I buy games on a system that I might not be able to use in 3 months, 4 months, a year? I know.
Yeah.
At least when it's like hardware, it's like if the hardware dies, that I guess that sucks. I can always buy new hardware, but Stadia goes, they stop doing Stadia, that's gone forever.
Another big thing I saw on Twitter today actually was that a lot of the devs that have like specific projects with Google didn't know that Stadia was folding. Like Stadia didn't tell them anything. Like they found out from IGN articles and in Gamerant, stuff like that. Like there was one that has like a game coming out on Stadia in like 2 days. There was one that was supposed to drop on November 1st, and they found out on an article that their game isn't hitting it out to people. Like it's not going anywhere. Which frankly blows my mind as a company as big as Google would like not inform their people that they have working on projects for them that this is about to go belly up.
Can I provide like a little rant here?
Yeah.
So one of those devs is a company called Splash Damage. Now, for longtime fans of the show, I can see Green smirking in our call. He knows exactly where this is going. Splash Damage created one of my favorite games of all time called Dirty Bomb.
One of the most toxic games I've ever played, by the way.
Yeah, its community is not good anymore, but at one point it was wonderful. And Splash Damage stopped working on Dirty Bomb probably about a year before Stadia was announced. And then it was revealed that they had an exclusive game that was going to come out on Stadia, which means they probably within that year had started talking to Google and were in talks to do an exclusive and were started working on this new game. This new game just came out July 12th, 2022. And Stadia is now like dying. What would that be? 6 months, maybe? after it was released. Was it worth killing Dirty Bomb? I don't think so.
I think in closing, though, what you have to agree on is the fact that Google did succeed in making a windfall for all the people that put all of their money into Stadia. The National Bank of Stadia, they're now being forced to withdraw all of their money. Think about that. Like, you bought 10 games on Stadia, man, you're getting a $600 check. But imagine all the people that purchased in-game content through microtransactions on the Nvidia, or sorry, on the Stadia. That money's gone, dude. There's nothing there. Like, you don't have that in-game content because the platform and the games don't exist. Like, you might get the money back for the games, but you're not going to see the microtransactions come back to you from the game developers and publishers. That's gone.
Yeah.
I think the real takeaway here is that I'm always right. I'm never wrong. Period.
I think that it was cool how they were trying to do that. You can play it on anything, but it also kind of boxed them into a corner as they had nothing really to offer you. Like, you could get the Chromecast and the controller, and the controller's actually pretty comfortable. I haven't really used it for any extended period of time, but it's not bad. So I dig it in that sense. But when I look at like what Xbox just did, partnering up with the Logitech G that came out, that like cloud streaming like tablet with like the white chassis around it, like if Google had something like that, you know, maybe it could have been different, something that they partnered with. And seeing devices like this become more popular, I mean, like, there's a lot of Steam Deck competitors out there now. Like, the bespoke handheld market is alive and thriving right now in general, from emulation device to streaming devices. And, you know, like, they've decided to call it quits maybe right before it's really going to start taking off.
Well, so one thing that we've talked about on the show on Next to Nothing was that at a certain point, at the beginning of the year, I think Google had announced that Stadia was going to be a white label service. So that technology, like that side of the business, is not entirely gone. They will still have like that technology and infrastructure in place, and they will sell it and rent it out to other companies.
What was the one idea that we had talked about on the show? Like, it was something for companies,
editing software and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah,
essentially
like,
doing
yes.
a server thing. I did want to mention something about you did say something about the Logitech partnering with Xbox to make that tablet.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest
well, they're
thing
just
about that-
featuring
Yeah.
Xbox's service on it. So out of the box, Microsoft paid to, hey, we want our cloud service on the front page of this when people turn this thing on.
Yeah,
Google could have done that.
The big thing about that, though, is that like while yes, you had to buy the device, the Logitech device, Xbox's Game Pass is just a flat $10 a month.
Yes. Yep.
You don't have to buy each individual game. I think that will do much more in terms of like actual usage, because like you're not buying AAA games for $60 to $70 every time. Like, you're paying that flat $10 a month for 12 months. It's $120, and you have the access to all the Game Pass games that are on the cloud service. So it's
on top of that,
in terms of value, it's no comparison compared to Stadia.
On top of that, too, if there is a game that you really loved on Game Pass and you see it's going, guess what you get if you don't want to give up that game? A pretty sizable discount at times, anywhere between 10 and 20% on every title.
Yeah, it's so much better thought out because it's been built up as an investment in the future. Like the way that Xbox is playing their game is very similar to like the way that you see Epic playing their game. Like they're doing these services to get in and get lifetime people coming into this service that are going to be around and be legacy as they grow up and become more evolved and more ingrained in the culture. And then when, somebody else just can't hack it, like it's going to make room for somebody else. Somebody else will step up in Stadia's place and try this thing again. And, they couldn't compete with the people who have, I think, that much vested. You can't just do it as a side project. You need to do it all the way. So that's what I think. And Stadia is gone, so goodbye, Stadia. Last up, return of E3. E3 will return to LA on June 13th, 2023. I got this from El Bonifacic at Engadget. And this is exciting. I love E3. I think that most people have some good nostalgia for E3. And they're going to do it a little bit different this year. They're going to do 2 days for industry and 2 days for public, which is like, I think that's how PAX does it and other conventions do it. So, I always wanted to go to E3. And then as soon as I realized how many people would be there, I was like, I don't know if I want to go to E3. I'm going to stand in one line for 6 hours, play a 20-minute demo, and leave.
And then miss a whole bunch of other stuff, probably.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, us at home, like if we get to watch it on Twitch or wherever, we're not really going to miss a beat. We kind of win out. Like, yeah, you get to go there. Maybe you get some swag and stuff like that. But we are still dealing with like the after effects of COVID. And there are a lot of people out there with, maybe it's too much to call it PTSD, but like there's people out there that don't want anything to do with crowds anymore, and the idea of crowds turns them off. We saw like almost an absolute upset with TwitchCon this year, where they weren't gonna need people to show vaccine cards, not have to mask up, so on and so forth, and people were like rioting all over Twitter about it. And so it kind of makes me wonder too, like, what are the precautionary standards for E3 going forward? What are we going to see there? But like you had said, 2 days for corporation, 2 days for general public. That sounds great. When they went full, like just like publications and so on and so forth, it lost all of its energy. I remember seeing, I believe it was like a Bethesda showcase, and they were showing off Rage 2. They were talking about Prey's new DLC Moon Crash and like Typhon Finder or whatever the heck they ended up calling it. But like the crowd was just stone-faced, dead silent, and you could feel the energy of someone up in a booth holding a sign that just says, "Please clap." And they're like, "Oh yes, of course." But they're reporters, they're journalists. They're supposed to be non-biased and just collect the information and then disperse it to the general public. So it's one of those things where it's like, this is not going to land. And when people watch that live, the energy of that empty crowd, more or less, is going to rub off on everybody. And it's like, how are you supposed to be excited about something when you're just looking at a crowd of people just staring blankly like mannequins?
Do they still bring out the Just Dance?
Oh, yeah. They have
just for the journalists.
Yeah. Like, dance, monkey, dance. And then you'll get your article.
The only thing I can say I am happy about with this is hopefully it's going to stop the trend of 1,001 different presentations that anyone who covers games or wants to keep up with game announcements and watch trailers there's like what 10 of these like presentations that were trying to be E3 over the last 3 years, and
all of them bad, all of them with Jeff Keighley.
Yeah. Like the only ones that I thought were like super well together, just because I like the scrappy underdogs, was the Guerrilla Collective. But I'm hoping like this year E3 is going to happen, and so we don't have these like monthly, bi-monthly like showcases and like 10 different like showcases that are just kind of poorly put together. It was like I think the worst one for me is like the Future Games show that they've done like the last 3 years, that they get these top tier voice actors to do the presentations, and it's just boring. They don't like the voice actors don't like get off script. They don't put their heart into it. There's like nothing. And I'm hoping we finally get to see an end to that.
You ready for me to be the flip side of the coin?
Oh boy.
Bring it on.
I have not watched an E3 all the way through since G4 channel, when it was like an actual channel.
Yep.
Like 10 plus years ago, right? I actually genuinely enjoy the different like online game programs versus like just the one E3, because E3 got super cringy. Watching like highlights and stuff like that, it was tough to get like all the way through it.
You talking about when like Aisha Tyler came on to play like meme bingo, basically, like just say as much gamer jargon as possible, and like the crowd just staring like
there was
blankly.
There was one that was like, I think it was Connect, like Xbox Connect, and they were playing like a whole band of like Xbox Connect style like music.
Oh yes, yeah.
It was like super cringe, like, and like with at least with these like different like online emporiums, it's a lot easier for articles to just throw them into like a list of, hey, this is what they had shown, this is what you're expecting to see, versus like E3 is just a whole bunch of like random nonsense just to try to get views. Yeah,
I think that like one thing that E3 kind of suffers from is a lot of like snappy CG bloat trailers that don't show much, and a lot of, oh my god, Elder Scrolls 6 in 7 years. Thanks for the splash card. Like we haven't really been getting nearly as much of that with like the change in the presentations, and I like that. I like these, hey, we're going to have a Nintendo Direct. We're going to show you things that are only going to come out this year. Hey, we're going to do an Xbox showcase. We're going to show you things that are coming out in the next 9 months. You know, like concise time windows, showing gameplay, giving us more to think about and less to just look at and wonder like, oh yeah, I guess that's going to be a thing. I wonder if it's going to be this, that, or the other. Like, if they ever show a CG trailer for an Aliens game, who knows what that's going to be? Who knows? Would it be another Isolation? Out. That new one is like a top-down, like tactical, like real-time tactical shooter thing. Like, you know, nobody knows what CG trailers look like. And I think that if E3 does come back, hopefully they leave that kind of stuff behind and start giving us more quality. Because like, Sony's already gone. They do their own thing. They're not going to come back. Devolver does their own thing. Nintendo does their own thing whenever they feel like it. Like, you know, unless there's going to be bringing in more new people, like maybe Embracer, they've got a huge thing. They've got to be their own like Embracer presentation now.
Yeah, I think they're up to 16 total companies, including Tripwire, who owns Killing Floor. They have all of Middle Earth. So
yeah,
you know,
that's crazy.
Who knows, man? Yeah, and then like a couple different indie studios as well. So, you know, hopefully some indie devs finally have all of the finances, any of the resources that they need to make the game of their dreams without a whole bunch of like neckties breathing down, you know, their collars trying to tell them how to make a game that'll sell. Otherwise, you know, it's all cannon fodder for the next Devolver Digital, you know, release. So we can just have more comedy there. Sony, I think they're doing like quarterly now at their State of Play, which has been hit or miss. Gamescom is the perfect blueprint of what not to do for an entire presentation. That was painful. So yeah, if it's anything like the opposite of Gamescom, I think that we're going to actually have something fun, interesting, vibrant, like you said with CGI. Gamescom, I think, had maybe 12 minutes of gameplay, and 8 minutes of that was all that like Rick and Morty game that I tried to bleach from my brain.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe they can bring it. Maybe, somebody could do something really special. I mean, one thing that I've also liked is there's so many, hey, we've got a demo out for a game. And being able to like feel like you're a part of E3 while not being at E3, that would be really cool. So I'd like to see more of that too.
Agreed.
So that's E3. So let's do the inflation deflation challenge this week. We've got Gundam Evolution. This is by Bandai Namco, published by Bandai Namco. I tried looking up the director, and I got the battle director, Ryota Hogaki. And this was released just this month. It's free to play shooter. And I looked it up. Steam says 6 out of 10. Do you guys say better?
I would say, yeah. I give it like a solid. I would say a solid 7. No, I'd give it an 8. We'll do an 8.
Nice.
8 out of 10.
I'm not big on hero shooters. I always thought Overwatch looked dope, but I just didn't have a computer, and then I didn't feel like buying it. So this feels more my speed. I dig Gundam. Like, I don't know if you guys can see, I got all kinds of Gundam models over here behind me. Zaku is my dude, and I see that he's at like the bottom of the tier list.
I disagree.
There is 2 Zaku models in the game.
Is there like a Char 2, one?
There's the Zaku 2 ranged, and then the Zaku 2 melee.
Yeah.
Oh, the melee one, I did see a thing. Somebody saying that was pretty dope.
Yeah,
that one is a little OP, but it's also hidden behind a paywall.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Rating wise, I would kind of agree with Green. 8 might be a little high. I might go for a 7.
I was gonna say 7.5, but I feel like it, with it being in that free to play genre and that scope of free to play,
yeah,
I put it up to an 8.
Yeah, right now it feels super limited, but I mean it just came out, and the gameplay itself is solid. Like, I haven't run into like bugs or game breaking issues. I do have like one gripe that I can share, but that's something that we can discuss like after Mendachi gets his thoughts out there. But I've been enjoying it. If you like hero shooters, especially if you like Overwatch, I think this would be one for you to check out. You'd probably enjoy it.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to be the dissenting one of the 3 because, we obviously had to keep a nice balance for our podcast. That's how the triangle works, a triangle of power. Yeah. So here's the thing. There are more free mobile suits than there are purchasable. Purchasable, you have Marasai, Gundam Exia, Mahiro, Zaku 2 Melee, which is goated. It's literally the best suit. And then you have Gundam Unicorn, which Gundam Unicorn is going to be probably out of all of these, other than Barbados, might be the most recognizable Gundam just from like passerby or like, oh yeah, I've had a fleeting interest in Gundam. But if you're someone like
RX-78,
right, like as far as that goes, some people might be like, oh yeah, that looks like an old Gundam or something like that. Like of the free, we have Pale Rider, we have OG Gundam, Zaku 2 Ranged, Gundam Barbados, Zazabi, Methuse, which is also very fun if you like support Gundams. You have the GM Sniper 2, Ashamar, Dom Trooper, Turn A Gundam, Gun Tank, and GM. So here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. The purchasable suits, they look cool for the most part. I'm not entirely sold on any of them really, other than Zaku 2, because Zaku 2 is just sick with that beautiful like B-Max. I was immediately depressed that Gundam Heavy Arms, my favorite suit, was not here, but that is okay, I guess. And I was
DLC.
Yes, exactly. I was equally happy to not see Gundam Death Scythe here, because then, you know, you don't have to deal with all of the Gundam Death Scythe stands, of which I'm sure there are many. But yeah, there's a good spread of people that are either brand new to Gundam or have loved Gundam for decades. I would say if you are a mecha enthusiast and you're like ready to go and play something a little bit more fast than say like BattleTech, or you're tired of waiting for Armored Core 6, which is in the works, I guess, which is nice. This is it's a good stand-in. It is absolutely, you drew the comparison to Overwatch. It's Gundam Overwatch. It's over Gundam. It's something along that. It's a lot of tight corridors and then some open spaces with multi-levels. And your health will just get pelted down to nothing, but you're back in the fight before too long. I'm going to keep it at a 6 though, just because there are some balancing issues. There's like a very, very clear tier list. You look at that, and if you grab that bottom one, you're probably not going to have a good time after you play a few matches, because you'll run into people that have been playing. And I really don't like the microtransaction stuff. Obviously, there is a $100 bundle of Evo coins, as they call them. So yeah, you can unlock skins. It's very much so. Look at the sick ass skin on this Gundam, and they are gorgeous. A lot of these do look great. The models are nice.
Sick.
Do have to say that the purchasable like the locked Gundams, like the units are like you can earn them in game. It just takes a minute to actually earn them. Because there's like 3 different currencies. There's the Evo coins, capital, and then there's a third coin that I have no idea what its name is or how you actually get it, other than like when you open crates that you get tickets for. If you get like a duplicate like skin, it'll give you 5 of those green coins.
I was going to say, are you talking about the green ones? Because they look like turtle shells to me, and I don't know what they are or what they do.
I have no idea. It never explained in there. But like as you like do your daily stuff and like you play games, you'll earn capital. And then that capital can be used to purchase those other units that are locked. So like you don't have to pay to unlock those units, but it's gonna take you some time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one big gripe with this game right now, and that is its matching system. Where is if somebody leaves the game ends. Like
at the beginning.
Well, yeah. So like I have run into this a lot of like I have gotten it like 3 times in a row where someone will disconnect, will leave the game, and the game ends, so I have to queue back up. It is incredibly annoying, and I really wish they had a way to just deal with that, or didn't do that. Like let people join mid game or something. Like that's very frustrating to have it happen like multiple times in a row, where it's like all I want to do is get into the game and it won't let me because people keep leaving lobbies. That's like my biggest gripe of the game right now. Also, Bandai Namco, if you're listening to this, add in the God Gundam from Gundam Fighter Mobile G. Okay. Look, I know it's like the worst Gundam series in the world, but it would be a great brawler type to add. And I might have a soft spot for that series. It might be my second favorite Gundam series. Okay. So do it.
Who would, if everybody could have one unit added to the game, what would you guys have? I guess we got God Gundam for Danny.
Is that your honest to God pick, Danny? God Gundam.
Yeah, with the shining fist or whatever, like the shining hand of justice or whatever he like screams every episode. Yeah,
my shining hand of justice. Yeah,
okay, my shining hand of justice. Yeah, I want to crush other Gundams' heads with my shining hand of justice.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that. Being a fellow big dumb fist weapon lover or BDFW lover, I would be remiss to not, say, yeah, that belongs there. But Gundam Heavy Arms, because I don't have enough bullets, I need more. I don't have enough rockets, I need more. Laser designated missiles, I need more.
Wait, heavy arms or custom or which
Heavy
which one are we
arms.
talking about? Just the OG?
We're talking, like Heavy Arms, Gundam Wing, Blue Man. I got 2 Gatling guns and some extra here and there. But yeah, like if we went custom though, I 1v5, it's fine.
I would have to say the Warhammer Titan
Guest character.
guest character.
Oh, no,
because
he's-
Attack on Titan is a Gundam movie series.
No, Green, we're
If
not
you're
we're not
unaware.
retreading this. We're not
Yeah,
saying
fair.
we're not bringing up
That's-
flesh Gundams.
No,
Gundams.
don't say that
No,
word.
you're gonna hate me. You're gonna hate me because like I've never watched like I've seen episodes here and there of Gundam, like especially like the OG on like Toonami, like when I was young. I don't remember any of it. So I just started watching Iron Blooded Orphans. I'm in like 3 episodes, so like I have no idea. Like I like what's in it now. Like if they add new stuff, cool. Like I know the Death Scythe looks fucking dope. So
They
like,
need
that
an
would be
edgelord
cool.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Black
the
wings
sky on
and stuff like
fire.
that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Death Scythe Gundam is like the pilot is just like a salmon roll, isn't he? Or am I thinking of a different one?
Duo?
You're thinking of
Duo is obnoxious and haughty, full of himself.
Oh, okay, never mind. I was
yeah,
thinking
you're thinking of
the-
the martial artist fella.
Yeah, you're right.
He's
It's-
nice.
It's so hard to keep the all the characters straight because there's like 20 series, 40 years to cover, and it like 4 different universes.
Yeah, and Gundam
Yeah.
Wing as well. 3 of the 5 main characters have spiky brown hair.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
God, there's so many to pick from. Like, trying to think of something that seems like it would be like a fun play style in the game. Maybe like Epion with its whip and everything. That would be like a sick, like mobile character.
yeah, can't argue with that. That would be a phenomenal ad, especially when you go in and like you start playing around. You're like, obviously you have Barbados, who like as far as Overwatch goes, it's Reinhardt, but the melee with Barbados is fun as hell. You have a giant clunky mace. People are trying to shoot at you from above, and you're like, what if I jump at you though? And now your head's caved in. It's super fun. And I think
Yeah.
that's why Zaku 2 is awesome, but also the super is ridiculous where you just spin at light speed towards everything. And when you swipe that axe, you can send out like a bit of a beam attack.
Oh,
so
sick.
you're not limited to just melee with him. So it's a really nice switch up. I think that more melee characters would be splendid, and I think that someone with a melee weapon that has reach would be an amazing ad.
Oh, like Shenlong would be cool too, with like
Yes.
the like crazy dragon arm and then like the pole.
Yeah,
Or like
items
there's
like
so
that.
many things that would be sick. Like the mobile doll with like the shield generator. God.
There's so
Well,
much that they could do.
This game will definitely have a bright future and a long future if Bandai Namco has anything to say about it. And maybe we'll even get some like cool real models with like, cool in-game skins or something. That'd be kind of sick too. I'm sure it's going to light up the online like custom Gundam world.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's only a matter of time as well before we start seeing, I'm sure that we will not see any Avas in this because, they're like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a point of contention between
about
two
Big
Big O. It's showtime. Yeah, dude. Oh man. Oh god, I love Big O so much. Mecha is like one of my one of my deepest loves. Like I saw your Gurren Lagann poster in the background. I was like, this man is a gentleman. We are best friends now. Yeah, it's something where I could see them doing something like an Ava 1 color scheme, maybe like, doing some Ava color schemes, something that we've seen in many other games. Even Overwatch, Farah had an Ava 1 color scheme herself. So it's something where I could see them, a tip of the hat as far as like color palettes and stuff like that, but do not hold out for something like seeing something like, a drill that can pierce the heavens, hitting the roster or anything like that.
So what do you guys think? We'll go over brass tacks this week. It's a free game. So that's done. What do you guys think? Is it inflated, deflated? Is it worth the price at free?
Absolutely worth the price of free. Free 99.
Free 99. Like, what do we talk about for like the price of like one unit or like a decent skin? Because usually in a free to play game, like if I have fun with it for a while, it's like I want to give the developer something. I mean, God knows Bandai Namco doesn't really need it, but like I'll buy something cool to look like not just like a pleb.
They do have like a season pass. And I think the season pass costs like $10 worth of the gold.
Okay.
And it does come with like skins and stuff like that. And it also gives you gold in return as long as you play it. So I think it's like the same scenario like Apex, where if you buy the season pass and you play through the whole season pass,
you get it again for free.
Yeah, next season pass you'll probably be able to you'll have enough gold to pay for the next one.
That's cool. I do like that kind
10.
of a system.
Yeah, I think $10 for me. I spent $20 on the gold. That is the amount of money that I'm willing to put into it and to pay the devs for the game. Like as I've been playing it now, it's been worth that $20.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited for this to come out. I think it comes out in like November for consoles. So I'll be a bit behind you guys, but I am looking forward to it.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with Green on that too. In terms of the pricing, about $20 is what I'd be willing to throw into it. Also, I would love to see them add more voice actors. So like the current default like pilot voice that you get is Green, what's his name?
It's Sean Shamel, and there's no reason to change it to anyone else. There's 12 voice lines.
Yeah.
By the way.
So yeah, that's the voice actor for Goku.
Okay.
I would like to change
it. I would like to see like maybe if they could add like Richard Ian Cox, who is the voice of Inuyasha, but has also done a lot of Gundam.
Yeah.
The only other person I think they should add to is Chris Sabat, so we can get a little Goku v Vegeta action going on. Okay, or All Might. So
get whoever did Trey's. I always like Trey's voice.
Oh yes, yeah. Another good get would be John DiMaggio, mythical, magical man that he is. Bender, Marcus Phoenix, Jake the dog. The list goes on for miles.
Yeah.
I think all the voice lines are, I think, people who've actually been in the Gundam series. I think.
I'm sure if I dig on DiMaggio's IMDb, I'll find at least OVA that he's done. He's got 450 credits. I'm going to say also this game is definitely worth the free. You might have after you play for a while, I think that the biggest thing that you're going to have an issue with is there's a cool skin for one of the suits that you love, but it takes the green currency that you can only get from very specific things and breaking down duplicates. So it's just one of those things where it's a time investment more than it's a money investment.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of how free to play is. I think everybody's kind of used to it by now. You know that you're going to pay something and then you're going to pay in time and tears and just wasted potential.
Well said.
But I think it's exciting. I'm glad you guys are having fun time with it, and I'm excited to get in on it. Let everybody know again where they can find you guys.
Yeah, so Next to Nothing, the podcast, you can join us live every Tuesday on Twitch at Next to Nothing Network, a brand new Twitch channel for us there. That's also where VR Kana is done live. If you want to check out our archive, you can find us on YouTube at Next to Nothing Network. Pretty easy. We try to keep consistency. You can also find us on Twitter. Greenlee, hit him with that Twitter.
That's at Next to Nothing PC.
Yeah, and we release a show every week, and then VR Kana, we are a little bit more sporadic with that, and it's a brand new show. There's only 4 episodes, so check that out.
Yeah, get caught up. Thanks so much for joining in and filling in for John. I think you guys did great, and I can just tell him to pack his bags and go.
As long as we can turn Game Deflators into a mecha podcast, I'm in. I'm all in.
There we go. The new offshoot, the Next to Mecha podcast.
Oh, dude, it's done. It's done. I'll write up the papers right now.
And I'm now officially local, so like I could just randomly, like at any point that Ryan's like has his camera out, I could just like randomly walk into his room and then just like do something behind his camera and then just walk out.
Oh, invasion, home invasion.
They'll never see me coming.
Well, thanks so much for joining me, guys. They've been Next to Nothing podcast. I've been Ryan, and you've been listening to the Game Deflators podcast. We'll see you next time.